All right. 8:33, we're gonna go ahead and call this regular scheduled meeting, of Hill County Commissioner Court to order on August 4th. We do have a quorum present. Go ahead and have a prayer. Mr. Holcomb, would you like to say a prayer?
Heavenly Father, thank you first off for the rain. Lord, you know what we need when we need it, and you're always on time. Lord, just watch over us as we deliberate for the citizens of Hill County. Help us to keep you in our thoughts and minds and our deliberations, Lord. And we ask for your blessings over this court. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag, pledge allegiance to the past, one state, under God, indivisible.
All right. Well, how are you doing this morning, Commissioner?
Well, we are. Hey, we're gonna stay on schedule on the road. Today we're planning on getting the prom coat down and the asphalt crew tomorrow is Wednesday. The school district in the city of Whitney are still having their road naming ceremony this morning at 11. And that's pretty much eaten up the last 2 weeks. But we've got the road prep and everything looks good, assuming that we can get it dried out enough to tack it. We should. I don't know.
No, they were staying busy hauling rock, and they'd go pick up some brush on the Denton Hill down there, and lady cut down trees on the side of the road, took care of that. And then we're trying to get set up today and tomorrow to re-chip seal Old Coke Boat Ramp Road 2126 and 2127. That was one of the first roads we did back in 17, 18. So we're gonna try to get that covered up. One of the roads we try to get done this year.
Awesome.
Probably got some trees on the road somewhere.
You mean 2017 and 18, or actually 17?
2000, yeah, 19, 18. 2018.
What was it?
Matter of fact, I think we did it with the old distributor truck, if I'm not mistaken. Because we didn't get the other first one to 18, so it was about 16 or 17.
Well, after running this morning, we got one crew out checking roads, get trees out of the way, and got another crew changing all the fronts and just do what we do when it rains.
Right.
Good about some funny things. Got trees, I know, so anyway, you know. Yeah, I'm not gonna be get some pretty speed up. Never fails.
Yep. Ms. Tanner?
I'm here, that's all I can say.
I think.
Everything's going pretty good, Judge. We can get things delivered to us in timely fashion if you don't want better, but, you know, I don't know, between Dell and the Amazon, they seem to have lost the address to the court, so I'm sure what else to say, but we're doing it.
Possibly just leave the package out here on the step.
There's a lot of people real interested when you do that.
I'm gonna say.
Miss Susan, do you have anything?
No, just on the budget.
Budget? Yeah. Miss Hightower? All's well? Yay. Sheriff?
All's well, sitting about 167 in a mile, so. Other than that, no complaints, so we get up there, no commissioner, day with the road. Time to time is hopefully we have ability, the rain helped us, so. Been able to do that, but all's good, no complaints.
Gospel.
Paying credits, typical time of the year for delinquent taxes start coming out. Nations are staying pretty steady, pretty easy so far, haven't had any problems. You know, just nasty people who live out. Both wrong.
Ms. Parker?
Budget.
You know,
Yeah.
me too.
Pretty much what Justin had to say. But, we got going on a lot of delinquent taxes. I think the evictions are probably about the average, but the delinquent tax payments have really increased. I think we're actually up. Paper service, what was that number?
This Branson report says they carried on the phone Saturday, actually, I picked the guy from OAG one. Need to visit with you, Myron, for we're done, fix the problem that we had there, but, picked him up, went back to the office, for doing paperwork on it, and realized that since 2020, we've increased papers by about 500 papers across the county. And that's. There's been 1 year that there was a little bit of more of an influx, but the rest of all seem to be about 25 to 40 papers per precinct. Every year seems to be the increase, and it's just good to look at it, where my addiction would slow down, everything else would pick up, but there was 1 year, and you was a JPN, we had 75 addictions that 1 year, I mean, it was crazy, we haven't had near that since.
McCreary lost their assistant that files a lot of tax suits, but. I mean, that's what people, but they lost her, but she's back now, so that's probably why y'all see a bunch of
Influx.
tax, like they're filing a bunch of stuff.
Mr. Holmes?
Made a vacation for my vacation.
Yeah, get that.
Good back.
Well, you're not allowed to leave ever again.
Um.
I tried not to text you. I tried, but it didn't go. All right. As far as county judge's office, we've been doing budget stuff, working on numbers. I see spreadsheets in my sleep. So we'll go ahead and move to open forum. If anybody is here for open forum.
She is now a member of our CPS board. We're looking forward to working with her on designing the future. Yes, you're. It's also her birthday.
Oh, and it's her birthday? Yes. Happy birthday.
She's 27.
It's 27. Anybody else here for open forum? Do we have anybody? Nobody's online. All right. We'll go ahead and move to consent agenda, action on minutes, invoices, payroll, monthly report for revenue and disbursement, and or observe and record elected officials training. Motion is second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed. Motion carries.
Your school meetings.
Yes, ma'am. This, no, I made this down. There was some of the pages this on the
These are the, I don't know, those are copies. This is the originals.
Oh, we're signing copies?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, you got copies of,
Catch up?
Practicing our
These are just for y'all
signatures.
to look over.
you got copies of the copies.
Take off on vacation. I didn't see him.
Got too much stuff on the.
It's all right, there's no stuff done for that, I think.
Yeah.
Shot.
As we move on, with item number one, discussion and or action on employee wage / status changes. We don't have any of those today, so we'll move on through that. There's no action to be taken. Number two, discuss and or actions revise the longevity policy. In our budget talks, I had presented an idea in which we would change the longevity pay scale. Just to try to benefit our employees a little bit. Going through the numbers, I don't think it's going to be possible to do this year. It may be something we tackle next year, or we can do no COLA. But it seems like COLA would be more appropriate this year, maybe tackle longevity next year. It's just my 2 cents on it. Miss Susan has the numbers, or Miss Parker, one of them, both of them have their trusty laptops today. So we could look at this, but I don't know that it's possible.
Right, the cost of the longevity pay was $97,725 more than last year's longevity. And the cost of the COLA is $485,000, the 3%. General fund share is $414,600, and the road and bridge is $68,928. I think that's. Oh my God, it's on $68,652 for the road and bridge. The total 3% raise, but it's $485,000.
Did you do the comparison 4, 5, and 6%? That you
No.
were gonna do?
We didn't.
No, I asked them not to because I can't hardly afford the 3%. They didn't figure that we needed to keep going up in numbers when we're already in the red.
I thought each 1% was 80,000.
I think that was before our salary survey the first time. I think that would have held true on regular wages before we did that.
So right now, 3% is 485. So divide that by 3, and that's what a 1% is, right?
Okay, well,
Does that make sense?
last week Susan said 3 was 270,000.
Pretty sure last week Susan said she's not gonna swear to you at all what it is. I recall that distinctly.
I thought you told me it was 80,000.
No.
Okay.
485. Look at you, good, great. Yeah. Oh, you had your phone out. Cheater, I thought you did that in your head. 161,000, so it's double 80 per person. And I apologize for telling you not to do that 5, 6, 7%, but I didn't see it. If we were already.
Increase $161,700 per percent, so.
So. If you went to 6, you would be.
Well, I was hoping we'd come back with more because we've got a lot of people that work for the county 50 and over, and an extra percent or 2 would make a difference on their retirement. And I think that would be something, because ever since I've worked here, we've always said, well, the county doesn't pay the best, but we got the best retirement. And
Well, I think we still have the best retirement.
well, we may have a different, but I still more.
At this time, if you double it, you're looking at over $970,000. you're looking close to $1 million, 6%.
When you just went 4%, you need that much more. Well, you've got it.
Where would it look better?
For the employees.
Oh, okay.
You know.
'Cause it doesn't look better with our revenue. Our paycheck is X amount.
That's gonna bring it to 646,000.
Right.
Well, since you only need a little bit of a reserve, I would say let's go with 4%.
So is this more appropriate when you get down?
Yes, sir.
There's
Actually,
some other things we talked about there. Right?
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of
No, we
things.
got lots of stuff to talk
Yeah.
about. Yeah. It looks like a short agenda, but
It's not.
very deceiving. But right now we're on longevity pay. So I propose that we take no action on that. I really thought it was keep it as, or just no act. We don't have to take any action. I really thought it was going to be a huge benefit to the employees, and it was a cheaper route than a COLA. Because we're not moving top salaries 3%. We're giving everybody
But
the same.
not, but you couldn't do.
But I can't do both.
Both.
Right.
And that was the original thinking. To do both.
Right. Yes. Yes, sir. So I propose no action. Is everybody good with that?
What are the evaluations at now? Do we have any idea?
On our revenues?
Mhm.
Yes. Do we want to address that? Let's address that during our budget work.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So no action on 1 or 2. Number 3 is discuss interaction on a contract agreement between Hill County, the 66th District, and Community Supervision Corrections Department. This is just approving their contract, the same one that they've had for a very long time, between APO.
Make a motion.
This is a motion, a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion. Now we get into number 4, discuss interaction on proposed elected official salaries. Yeah. So what was handed out to you is the proposed county official salaries, elected official salaries.
At that 3% increase.
So it's a 3% increase across all officials. It does show where we now gave a salary to the county surveyor who agreed to work for us.
Did he agree to this?
He agreed to this salary here. And that's actually with the 3% on top of what he agreed to, so he'll be pleased, I'm sure. This is showing the legislative changes to each one. As we go through, and I have to have this discussion, it shows a different salary. It only shows us the increases. So like the juveniles board supplements that some of the judges get, that hasn't increased in years, and so that it's not shown on here. But so it shows all the increases.
The asterisks are for the official where people changed, so the longevity looked a little different, where there might have been a higher longevity for that position in the prior year versus the current year. I don't know.
You know, so the only other thing that's not on here is the justice of the peace magistration stipend, because that was split last year because I left and Judge Raton took it, so he got half of it, and then this year they're remedying the whole thing on that.
the total dollar amount stayed the same for the 8,500 for the magistrate, but we just got to show it on there because of the. It's an increase for JP. One,
I think this is the rest of it.
So you're talking a 3% increase.
Yes, sir.
Employees is getting a what,
3%.
3%?
Okay.
So that's more than 3% on the treasurer, of course, and then the county surveyor.
That's the county surveyors coming from nowhere. The one, I guess, the one to be discussed to me is the treasurer's. That one, that number was introduced by Commissioner Holcomb. Would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, when, I don't know if you guys remember when Rachel made her presentation to the court. The inventory of duties that she has under her umbrella. You would have to hire 2 more department heads and support staff underneath them to handle HR and insurance, and that's what most counties do. And after I looked at that and did a little digging on it, that seemed like a pretty reasonable request. It wasn't everything she asked for. I guess this is the 92 plus 3%. And I don't remember what the ask was. I think it was 98, but that's a lot of work, a lot of hours. That we would otherwise have to go out to. We'd have to hire 2 department heads and probably 4 support staff, and you couldn't do it for twice that money. I don't know what you guys think about that, but that was my logic behind it. Not getting her all the way there, but taking kind of incremental steps to.
And did you check with any of the other clerks that make the same amount to see what they do?
Well, there was one that had an opportunity, I think, to move laterally into another county. Just at a clerk level, doing that kind of administration for $100,000.
I think she's talking about district clerk, county clerk.
All the other.
So
Because historically, we've all made the same, and it's, we've never. It's just been that way. And so if you're gonna check her job duties at what she's got under her umbrella, then I think you should check. And let me get it clear, I'm not asking for a raise. I didn't ask for a 3% either. I wanted to take care of my employees. I wouldn't want to take care of myself before my employees. But, and I'm not saying anything against Rachel. Rachel has talked to me about this. But we didn't add those duties to her job here recently. It's historically, it's always been the treasurer, so. I'm just.
Person input.
I do. It is. It's a slippery slope to me when we start breaking each duty out, because I feel every single elected official in here, if we start breaking each duty out, if you start looking at how many hours Miss Rachel, Miss Susan, Miss Hightower are working outside 8 to 5, we start trying to pay them for all the work they're actually doing. We can't afford it. There's no way.
Keep picking on anybody else take it, so
Right.
I do have a form, and that's up to 8 years without.
Exactly. That's what I mean. We couldn't pay you for that. Right. Yeah.
Pick on anybody else.
And these discussions are particularly tough because we're talking about our working family. We have to work with all of these people regardless. So that's why these discussions suck. Just to say blatantly.
I'd be willing to give up my percent if my employees could get a 4 or 5%.
That's a good discussion to have.
I don't know if there's enough money here to do that though.
Well,
That's, therein lies the problem, right?
that is a point.
Chairs, same way, he was getting this increase as a fee structure plus a 3%, so his number reflects the exact same thing.
Right.
And the only reason I brought it up, there were 2 salary surveys back to back that distinctly came back where I was different from the other 3. I'm not saying that the other 3 weren't factored correctly. I'm not sure what was done to those numbers, how that got to be, why it was like that to begin with. But when you start comparing counties to counties, Nicole doesn't make the same as Mrs. Hightower in other counties, nor does Marshall. They're not the same in other counties. They're not made in big box. So that's when I started reviewing it, like exploring the options. I don't think theirs should be the same either.
I don't think all counties are the same, but there are some counties that are the same.
Very.
I'll tell you, I like which one, I get my employees too.
Right.
But if you look at my pay scale, mine can't get broken to the bottom bill, that's just the way the structure is.
Right. And
But on a personal note, I do.
the commissioner, I know you guys, I don't know if Mr. Holcomb was here, but I know you guys remember we had to push you up 2 years ago to make everything happen. So that's the same concept there. We're familiar with
I've
that.
got, finally have 2 young employees of 27 and 29 years old, has families. And then, you know, I try to hire somebody at $34. I can't do it.
Yeah.
And I want to keep these young employees. Yeah. Anybody that comes to work,
They're not that
come to
young.
work for a county is already on a retirement and looking for another. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I agree. So this sheet before you is proposed and is very much open to discussion and changes. So I need some feedback from you guys. I'm
Well, this has,
looking for
this
your,
has Debbie too.
yeah, today. No pressure.
I'm looking for 4% across the board and forget it. That would be my.
Whoa. Okay, but you're electeds and all is what you're proposing.
So if not, you're gonna get like they were a few years ago, they couldn't raise people underneath, especially people in the courthouse, because the elected official didn't make that much more. Y'all remember that? It was a few years ago, so I think you just start creating future problems.
I was gonna point out that I believe the current consumer price index is about 2.7%, so. Polos are usually running on consumer price index. I think you're above that. And you're gonna be right back there 12 months from now. Doing the same thing.
Try that again.
And I'm in my 11th year. And we have given raises 9 out of those 10 years. There's 1 year that we did not give a raise.
Didn't we give 1% 1 year?
Hmm?
Didn't we give 1% 1 year?
There was one,
I know.
the insurance went up so much.
Yeah.
We covered, I didn't, but the commissioner did for covered the insurance, that was the year we didn't get a raise.
Yeah, that was the increase.
Yeah, $800 and something thousand increase that 1 year.
Mhm.
So we will get into budget workshop where we can talk about all that stuff here shortly.
Doesn't that tie back? to
It does
this?
very much so. These two are these two deals are one and the same almost. It's just we needed elected that particular wording on the agenda.
should we work through the workshop and whatever shakes out of that, come back to the elected?
We can do that. So we're gonna table the elected officials right now. And move to, well, budget workshop in which we're gonna talk, the subject doesn't really change. It's presented, or right now proposes 4% across the board. Ms. Swilling, what does that look like as far if we did a 4% across the board?
They, the, all 160,000, probably mentioned, report.
So
600.
646.
646.
Yes, that's 600 feet, there's 646 change.
So, and I mean, if that's what you guys would like to propose, I have no problem with that, but if we're taking money from here to put it here, then my proposed idea about construction material contingency fund, that's where you're taking that from. Just so we're all clear that,
And we hadn't got to that yet.
right,
I mean, as far as
no, but I
where
want,
it fits in the
But
conversation.
I would agree with Steve, and always get it than one of the other commissioners getting the grant, one not me.
Well, it's not you getting it, it's the taxpayers that get it. Right at the end of the day, right? And that's the reason that we were trying to backstop that.
the roads have to be addressed.
That's a long term.
Yeah, that is not a this budget cycle fix or next budget cycle fix. Now we may make some strides in figuring out how to do that, but it's not gonna be.
What did we figure, 700 million based on the price of the road over the school?
Yeah, if you did a bond issue,
Uh,
if you did a bond issue, it costs you that
But that
just to shore up your main traffic road.
I'm almost positive though that our constituents don't care if the problem's hard. They just want it fixed.
Until they see a 700.
Well, yeah, for sure. For sure. That's not an option.
That's not 700 million, I'm moving up.
Yeah, no kidding. So, but when you're talking about the money, it's got to come from somewhere. So if we're upping the percentage on the employees, then it's drawing money down somewhere else, it's.
So that would lower your reserve bucket for that construction material supplement
Correct.
by $166,000,
Correct.
essentially.
Yes, sir. So if, for instance, you had a million, it lowers it by 160.
So since that ties together, do you want to talk about that and structure? And
We can, yeah.
I don't know that. The road contingency fund is a good idea,
The thought,
I just don't know if it's gonna work,
I don't either.
because. And Larry's gonna run for oil, for Chip Seal Road,
Right.
I'm gonna run for rock, he's gonna run for rock,
Right.
he's gonna run for Chip Seal Road for oil, wherever. And
well, if it's construction materials and the way that was drafted was, I don't know, has everybody seen?
No,
a Copy of that?
no, sir. The way,
Basically put it in the proposal is to put it in the procurement and department policy. And came up with some language. I don't know if David's had a chance to look at
No,
it.
But how are you gonna regulate that
so
if I start redoing every road I've got chip seal?
Well, that's the.
I'm gonna be taking a bigger percentage of the contingency. And
So-
if you eliminate
You know,
what divided equally,
yeah.
that's what we were gonna
Each
do,
precinct has a limit.
a quarter, everyone would get a quarter.
It's equal.
and I'm sure Tim would want to donate his portion to me.
I bet it would too.
Yeah.
I'd second that. Yeah.
So the way that we kind of have it drafted would be, a commissioner would use 85% of their construction material budget. And then would come to the court and say, all right, I need to do X, Y, and Z. I've used my material. I didn't stockpile it in my yard. I've put it out on the roads. I need some material. You would purchase material, the invoices would go to the auditor and they would backfill your construction materials line item out of the pot, whatever that money was. I was using round numbers because they're easy for a simple fellow, but a quarter, basically. And out of the big whole number, each one of you would get a quarter. Now, I'm not married to any of these ideas, right? Just like the longevity pay. Didn't work. I thought it was a great idea. Didn't work, right? Same thing when I took over the jail, I had 83 ideas. The lieutenants thought I was crazy. Like 4 of them worked out, right? I'm just throwing it at the wall and seeing where it sticks and if it works and if it's beneficial for the constituents and our employees like us.
Well, I think the goal there is since we can't allocate what we need, what we all need to maintain these roads and get them upgraded. That's kind of a backstop way to go about it.
Right.
And and have that available if you got to 85% of your construction material budget, then you could tap that if you were in the middle of a chip seal project and you were going to run out of money, send supplemental invoices in and backfill that, finish the project.
We've done it before.
Say it again.
We've done this before in your precinct. I'm not knocking you, but we've had to loan precinct 1 money out of the general fund or out of reserve. And to get him by. So would that work as what you're proposing?
It's not a loan. It's just part of the.
Well, but if the money, if we get take and make it work, but we still got this money sitting over here in reserve that we can loan out of it because it's ours. You get in trouble or can't finish the road or whatever, well, why would we have this money sitting here in contingency? If we may go through the year and not use it.
Well, it's not in contingency, it's in reserve.
Well,
It resides in the reserve.
Right.
Look, you got a bucket of money sitting over here and we don't use it all year. That money just sitting there, not putting anything involved.
It's sitting there right now.
Yeah.
We're only required to have what, 35% reserve?
That's just other line item that he's talking about creating.
Contingency fund, or construction material contingency funds. But he's talking about that bucket, not your reserve.
If you got this bucket of contingency fund money sitting here for a whole year, we don't use it. We just wasted that money for that year.
If we don't change the policy, nobody will get that. And it's gonna sit where it sits right
You're
now.
not understanding what I'm saying. If you take this money and you set it over here in this book that he's proposing.
If you don't use all your materials and that money's still sitting there.
If we don't use it, that money hasn't done us any good that year. And draw interest, we haven't done anything. If we get the trouble wrong, then you have to have it, done to the court. We can make you a loan that come out of your next year's budget. Or however we decide how you pay it back.
I don't think that was the intent.
I don't like it, but I don't hear that's gonna work.
Makes all the sense in the world to me.
Well, your budget, you never hit anything anyway, you may have money in there for a bridge, you might put a bridge in, you may have different deals, so you're gonna be pulling money out, so basically, you can sit there and lower your budget for gravel. And then you'll hit your 85% a lot quicker and leave the rest of us hanging. I just don't think it's the way to do it. I think it was aggregate people.
Well, I don't think anybody's going into this with any malice or forethought to leave anybody hanging. That is the reason for having it equally divided. I mean, I would have a limit, just like you guys would have a limit if you got to that threshold and needed it.
I make a motion that we don't do it. You second it? Okay.
Okay, but we're still gonna have discussion. We're still gonna have
I
discussion.
know, but I mean,
Okay.
we got a motion and a second.
And I'm asking for discussion. I'll call the vote when I think we're ready for it.
I'm not shooting your idea down, Shane.
No. And believe me, when we're looking at the numbers, this idea looks grand. And then as I'm looking at the numbers, it's looking less and less grand in the fact of
Well,
We could put a contingency fund over there and it'd have $24 in it,
That's
then
what
what's
I'm
the
saying.
point?
It's like
Yeah,
putting money in
yeah,
one pocket,
yeah.
putting it in the other.
Exactly.
we take the 1% out of it to give 4% raise across the board.
Mhm.
So that's gonna leave us with $400,000. For people, easy math. So that's. I dropped the bucket.
Well, so the contingency fund has never been put in any budget book yet.
Well,
The construction material contingency fund, because it is completely a last ditch idea. If we have money left over to lower the reserve, that's where that money was going to come from. So it's not taking from raises, salaries, anything else. So that's not a real number.
But what
at
I'm
all.
saying is so if that number. Is fictitious
Uh-huh.
number that we're looking at.
Right.
We still need to pull that reserve down,
Correct.
put it on, add another percent.
I'd say go ahead and put it in each commissioner's budget in construction.
It's only $37,500. I mean,
No, it's,
What's 37?
where did that come from?
if you're talking about dividing 150,000 by four,
This was started at $1 million. That was the thinking that would take us down to 35% threshold that we're required to have in reserve.
I'm not for going down to 35%. You don't know when something could happen
That was the number adopted by the court, though.
and.
I thought it was 25%.
That's the state number. The court
35%
being prudent
self-imposed.
was self-imposed to
We
35%.
still got
So,
to.
you know, we got to do something, we've got to rebuild the AgriLife building, and that was a $2 million building, so. And I don't know when we're gonna get the funds out of it, I was out there the other day, and that just keeps getting worse. and
Yeah,
worse.
it's not gonna get any better until you.
No, it's not gonna be
Backstop.
better, so,
Fix.
so
But-
do we
but-
use some of that reserve on it, or do we borrow money to rebuild another?
But I have a hard time prioritizing the AgriLife building over our roads. 100% of our constituents use our roads. 4 people use the
That's
AgriLife.
the problem we're trying to solve, is the roads.
That's
We can't do it with the budget we've got in front of us. We all know that.
I think the roads, like we've all said, is a long-term deal. I think this year would be our year to develop the plan. And that means probably hiring a firm to develop a master plan as to how we can go about it and what it's going to cost. Spending more money on somebody to tell us how we're going to spend money, it sounds weird, but it's what the government does. That's what I see this goal, as far as if we can get that achieved this year. Nobody's road is any smoother, but we are progressing towards.
What do we spend on the evaluation for the employee?
That was before I got here. What was the last salary study cost?
30.
30.
So that's money, it's just.
Yes.
Go.
Mhm.
What is, I need a better understanding of, you create this road material contingency fund.
Mhm.
What's the process by which commissioners get those funds?
So they would first have to spend down 85%. They would have spent 85% of their construction material fund. They would come to the court, request access to the contingency material fund, and then they'd vote on it. They'd bring their invoices back, and for the amount that they spent, they would be backfilled into their contingency material. The thing is, I don't know that fund's gonna have enough to make it work. At $1 million, you guys could get some stuff done. If we put 150,000 in there, you're not getting anything done. It's not worth it. So, and right now where we're sitting, to drop our reserve to the 35% or not, I don't know if you've got $1 million to do that. And I definitely would not be for going under 35%.
No, I wouldn't either.
I think that was a wise choice by the court whenever they made it, whoever made it, and we should probably abide by that.
Well, you know, you've got October, November, and December before your the December tax collections. We usually don't get the check from the tax office till January or the first one or what have you, so. you know, you've got 3 or 4 months there that you're paying a salary and all that, you have to be able to fund the county business until your main source of revenue. comes in.
That's every year, but we don't get the money till January, and we're like.
And that's why you don't want to draw it down too low. Now, some of what you're talking about is gonna depend on your tax rate and we have a little more work to do on the taxes, but Chrissy put this together for us. It's kind of wrote slowly, but maybe you can read from me right. Up at the top is the general tax. And she's got the 3 rates, the no new revenue rate, the voter approval, and the de minimis rate. And then I've entered what the rate that we used for the year that we're in, so. And then if you go down a little further is the FM lateral rate, the proposals for each and what we have right now. Now, when I visited with Chrissy, we haven't gone up. The road and bridge has just about used the voter approval rate less, you know, a digit or 2 every year, but the general fund has not. So it has more room for an increase than the road and bridge. But the voter approval rate for the general is 0.3879 versus what our current rate is 0.3458. 3458 is the no new revenue rate for the general tax is below our current rate, but the other rates are above it. So, you know, sometimes we say we're gonna keep the rate, the actual tax rate the same, and it's an increase. But I think to do some of the things we're wanting to do, you're gonna be looking at a higher rate, so y'all need to be thinking about that. And those are your 3 choices where we are right now. That voter approval rate, just under that, generates a good deal of revenue. But then you're also increasing the actual tax rate, so.
You also have to put it for the voters, don't you?
If it's under the voter approval,
Okay.
you don't.
349, I think that's what we've gone up in years past, is it, Susan? Didn't we go up 3.49%?
Only on the road and bridge.
The road and bridge we have, but not on the general, we haven't. We've taken them each separately over the years.
How many months out are we from being debt free? From having the debt?
I believe it's been 27.
Less than 24 months, probably.
No, two years from right now.
Okay, so exactly 20 time.
Mhm.
And the tax rate will change when it's paid off, for things with the record.
Right, but we don't wanna be without, we wanna, if we have other projects, we don't wanna be without on this rate.
Correct.
Hopefully, if the Fed lowers the rate, we're gonna get back to a good borrowing time.
The
Next year.
FM laterals at 5.9, right?
No, the FM lateral, Chrissy, you might help me here. What you have right now at FM lateral, the current rate in the year that we're in is 0.60060.
60, that's okay, 25, okay.
And the no new revenue rate, that's the rate, the no new revenue rate is essentially the same amount of taxes that we brought in last year or the current year we're in. So that rate is usually always a little lower than your rate, the no new revenue rate, because we have more appraisals. So the same amount of revenue divided by a higher appraisal amount is going to have a slightly reduced.
And that's every year the new improvement, the money that you don't have to technically budget for this year, it's 1.3 million is
On
what
the new
on the new
construction.
construction. And so that's the reason why that amount is a little bit lower every year, because from the year before, it gets figured in when that year didn't get figured in, just like this year. That new construction is not gonna be figured in your actual tax rate. But you can count on getting the 1.3
Right.
million, just because we don't have to figure it, but it'll affect next year's rate,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, here it goes back.
So it becomes a wash from year to
Pretty
year.
much, yeah.
So the
But you don't
highest,
have to put this in your,
Right.
this is just kind of money you're gonna get.
Right.
the highest the road and bridge can go up is to 0.0699. The voter, that's the de minimis rate, I guess, because you didn't use every year. Your 3.5%. Why would that, the de minimis be
No.
more than the voter approval?
This is to,
The voter.
yeah, they
approval.
can't use their de minimis rate. They can. They
Use
can
the
use it
lower
if
of
it's
the
low.
two. Okay.
Yes.
The lower of
They
the
can't
two.
use that if
So
it-
the highest you can go is 0.064879.
Is that 3.5% or 3.49% increase?
From the 0.059 it is. Yeah, I mean, that's what the voter approval rate is
Yeah.
3.5% more.
Wasn't for FM lateral, we couldn't do that.
Judge, do you have, any money in the budget for?
No.
Hiring a consultant firm to do a master plan for the county?
I've got a small amount in contingency funds that I stripped out. I stripped the contingency fund down pretty hard to try to make our COLA work. So I do have enough to do that, but we're not. The properties and such that we bought, that we won't be able to do any of that next year. We're not gonna be able to do that, but I do think.
I think this budget year is time to do that with some of the things that are on the horizon for the county. The sooner the better, in my opinion. I think that's a high priority item
Well,
budgetarily.
there's 250,000 in that line item. Do we think that could get that done? I would hope so. I mean, otherwise we need to.
And
It depends on what's in play.
Well,
well, but to my point earlier about asking about the INS rate. We need to figure out sooner rather than later. What we're gonna prioritize and what we're gonna go borrow money to pay for. And you've got. Some potential projects. Looming. That could add massive amounts of tax revenue to the county's coffers.
Yeah.
And. Such as the data centers. I kind of started doing a deep dive while I was on vacation. On these data centers and what other counties are doing incentive wise for them. It's all over the map. Taylor County, Abilene, which has become a kind of a mecca for these data centers. They're starting to feel the pain of what they did.
Infrastructure wise.
Because one thing you gotta keep in mind is, and I texted Shane driving back to Florida Saturday.
no.
These companies like Oracle, that's one of the things that the commissioner worked in Taylor County battling with. They're willing to pay lawyers all day long to sue the appraisal district over their valuations. They're gonna do it every year. I mean, I just think we need to start preparing for what's coming, because I do think some of these things are gonna happen. The Hubbard one, the judge and I were on a Teams meeting 2 weeks ago with their consulting firm, and sounds like it's gonna happen.
They're ready to break ground.
You're talking about adding in terms of overall taxable value, 50% in one project to the county's taxable value.
And what did we say it was? 4.2 billion, right?
4.3 billion is what the tax does.
So
Which makes
how,
that
how
right.
they
Yeah,
handle
that's good.
they,
Well, like Taylor County gave them 85%.
they
Yeah, there's no way.
ain't having
And now they're arguing.
And now they're arguing, now they want more.
Yeah.
So we need to be preparing for this stuff. And I think we need to spend some money to prepare for it. By paying. Engineering firm. Outside lawyers or whomever. To advise us on. How we need to spend this money. And what we need to do to. Structure our budget. To. Prepare for the growth. Does that make sense?
Well, it seemed like to me that part of that process needs to be a deep dive and analysis on how to structure the agreement
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
with the
So I've
and
spoken,
tax abatements and all that stuff. Is you can cut your own throat right there pretty quick.
I've spoken with the Abilene, the judge, the county judge over there. And those data centers, they've apparently it's very similar to us in Bosque, where the data centers are kind of spilling between the two counties. It's very similar over there in Abilene. And I talked to the county judge about it. We were speaking more on how it affects the people that live around it, the noise and such. He said it's really not a huge impact on the area. If you're close, they have generators that are running. So there's that noise, but beyond that, they haven't felt a whole lot. But I've got his phone number and he knows we're going to be in contact. I'm working on, there's the only other place that rivals Abilene right now is Pennsylvania, data center capital of the United States at the moment. I'm working on a contact with basically a commissioner. They don't call them commissioners, but a commissioner over there to see how they've structured some stuff, what they hate, what they like, what they would never do again, all those things. I, like you said, and like Mr. Homer said, us just doing it on our own seems like we're gonna step in something.
I think you have to remember when you add that much value to your role, that's gonna take the tax rate down. And if you give them something like 80% or 85%, an abatement, that value is still on your roll,
But you,
but you're not
I know.
collecting the money for that.
Never
Yeah,
Yeah, we've got to be faithful
yeah.
with what we.
35%. They're still.
We're gonna ask and we're gonna have.
Well,
to
the
get-
more-
we don't-
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to give something for sure.
right.
But you just have to remember that when your value goes up, your rate goes way down. And. Well, I mean, and when it gets down that low, it takes a long time for you to rise back up to where you ever were before. And if you're not collecting on this value.
I think I want to stay up on. Crosswater has people just defining who you're talking to. Yes. See.
Yep.
And one of the things that they pointed out about the data centers is. On average, they roll that technology over about every 5 years. And so you're constantly renewing the valuation. On a rapidly depreciating asset. I mean, so. They go down faster than they, about every 5 years, it's coming back up. I wanna know if that's true, first of all. Cause, but their purpose for being on that call was sell job, so.
Are they coming for 10-year abatements?
I don't know, I think that's what Taylor County's done. I'm gonna estimate that that's probably average.
If they're cycling that technology every 5 years, you could shorten up your abatement time period.
Is there,
To
sorry,
fix that
Well,
value.
it's already got this.
You got.
A county?
Yes, that has the data center right.
Yeah, that's what Taylor County, or,
Taylor County.
yeah, Abilene,
I can look at their worksheets to see like what,
what it looks like.
that, I mean, that's what I'm interested in.
Is that similar to the Google one they built
Yeah, it's a, and they're just they're the landlord. They'll have tenants in and out of there depending on who wants to pay, and then.
One of the differences. Data centers that might be built in Pitt County versus in a large metropolitan area is. One of the things that makes Hill County attractive is we're in the non-attainment zone for EPA emissions. So they're literally going to build a gas-fired power plant. Data center to have a constant source of electricity. So you've got valuation on the power plant, you've got valuation on the building, you've got valuation on the servers without the building.
They call them campuses. People live there 24/7. Like somebody they have entire city. Well, it's a little residential area on one end of it where they can, eat, sleep, all that stuff. It's massive. We said all that to go, where are they?
Well, that's good. That's good enough for future planning for sure.
The fund, which it's not really. We make it's not something we have to make a motion on. We can just not do it. We're just in budget workshop, so we're talking. I'm thinking that you're probably correct.
24 months is not much time to figure out. What we're gonna do fund, that's true, on INS, that is.
Because we have to find the company, hire them, and then they're gonna want to know what we want. We're gonna have to give them a list of what we want.
Well, they'll come in and spend months. Looking at everything.
Yeah. Probably need to ride with you guys on roads and then of course, to me, it's I think we've already discussed this. It's twofold. We want to look at this Justice Center situation and we want to look at the county as a whole and every building we have. We've got that 505 building. Can we use that for something? We've got support services building. Where does all this in a big grand picture look like? And is it worth it? Is 505 worth whatever? Is the roof on whatever building? The whole thing.
I don't think you can get that done for $250,000.
No.
I think that's a way bigger
Project.
than we think it is. But maybe, we never know.
A couple of years ago, when you were talking about some of that, some people came and talked to Judge Lewis and I think David was in there at that meeting when I had the bond people. Weren't you in that meeting a couple of years ago? Anyway, they had looked at Hill County. They said, if we wanted to, which they weren't recommending it, we could borrow up to $200 million. You remember that, Dave? Yes. Okay. I mean, they weren't trying to sell it, said they said, you don't really want to borrow that because they've already county set up. We could qualify for that.
Fortunately, I think we're very financially sound.
Yes.
Our debt's very low. A lot of counties and schools, we have very low debt. Total debt is, the total is 2.3 million, it'll be 1.78 million at the end of next year.
Pay it off now if you want to. Not that you do that. But you could. It is comfortable being in a position that you could.
Yeah. Okay.
More longer than what I said, I'll be 29, around 17, that would be 600,000 a pop, but only 3 more years, so might be 29 now.
That's okay. It gives us a little more time.
And now back to the ranch.
It's like, man, I don't know.
So no,
I think we need to go up to 3.41%. The governor is wanting to freeze where the counties and the cities can't go up at all. And so if we're gonna get anything, we better get it now. Because he's gonna have probably looked at how many special sessions. This session's not gonna get anything done that they don't.
So can you go to the 3.49 without?
But 3.5 is the maximum we can go up, so we could go 3.4999. And be fine,
So we can increase 3.5.
just right under 3.5. I think 3.5.
Is that right?
Go up to that 3.5, but if it was never. Good, that ain't an election, so.
So the second number, the middle number on both of those sections is the highest you can go, just, you know. Million of a percent under it or whatever.
And that's not, I mean, that is the highest you can go, but because y'all didn't go up, you're using a bunch of your, for the past 3 years. When you haven't gone up all of the rates that city can, it adds up all of those, the difference, all that, so. You're getting to use what you didn't use for the past 3 years. Does that make sense?
So we couldn't
For
go.
the general, it's
So we
more
couldn't
than
go.
Yeah.
We can do that, which is what we didn't, is 3.5 this year plus what we didn't do the last.
Increments.
So
Yeah.
it is.
Which is
But you don't have to have an election for that. It's worked into.
So I'm confused. Susan, you just said that you can't go past 0.387.
That's correct.
And if you take the 0.345 and add 3.5, then you're over that.
Well, because you
Got
get to go back and average what you didn't take the 2 previous years in there, and that pops it up.
what you didn't take in the prior years.
Okay.
So you left a portion of your 3.5.
And you not relative to that.
No, that number, the number in the middle is the number we could go.
The highest. you
Highest
go.
we could go.
Okay.
Yes, that's.
For road, the road and the.
And I bet you don't know how much extra that will raise.
Well, I did.
As much as you-
It makes quite a difference. That would give us
Well,
surplus and general fund. Like almost $1 million. So.
We need a motion.
No,
Why not?
you're in budget workshop. Where you can motion. Just-
I think
and-
we
and
need to
what-
go because
what we're-
There is a pending motion second. Pending right now.
Correct, but we're in budget workshop. Is it appropriate to even make the motion?
Okay.
Right? Or no? I don't think so. I don't think you have
I
any.
can withdraw it if that.
Well, there's nothing to make a motion on because it's not on the agenda to just make a decision. Right now, we're looking to give Miss Susan and Miss Rachel and myself guidance as to where you want this budget to end up. So your motion is appropriate
when it's
when we adopt that deal. So instead of a motion, tell us what you're wanting that budget sheet to look like. And your motion was no contingency material
That's
fund
correct.
thing.
Yes.
So we'll make sure that's not in there.
well,
Assuming you guys, I was about to say, I'll let you
Hold
guys,
on.
I'll let you guys fight over that, but
Discussion and or action is involved.
oh,
We got a lot of things to cover before we get there. Somebody better be keeping a list of these.
we're trying. There's been a lot of emails, gentlemen. I don't think you're aware of how I broke the whole budget worksheet first day, so.
I love the idea of the contingent fund. I share Commissioner Wade's concern that it's not called was in.
I agree.
This is our commission's work. In my 19 years has always worked very well together. With very few exceptions, and I'd sure like to keep that. But
Me too. By raising, if that puts a surplus in the general fund, then on our revenue allocation worksheet, could you raise the road and bridge percentage? Does that make sense, Ms. Susan?
15%?
Oh, no, sorry. Oh, you want to, I thought you said it, you thought it was
Well, we-
15. Does that make sense what I'm trying to do, Miss Susan? To where that would not stay in general, it would then go to the commissioner straight through road and bridge.
8.5% to like 10%.
That's only $20,000 net to
Each one of
each person.
Yeah, we did that number. But you could raise it up as much as you want to push that whole number to the other. The deal is, what that does though, is the point of the contingency fund was not just to give you guys extra money, it was to give you guys extra money for a particular thing, which was materials. If we did it this way, it's gonna put the money in your budget,
But
but it's whatever you guys want to spend it on.
it's not that much.
Well, essentially, if you have $1 million over, then you're splitting $1 million four ways.
If you're pushing all of the.
If you're pushing all of
Into.
them into road and bridge, right?
Is that what the? You do? Is that, that worksheets all the time?
Oh, yeah, yeah, no, that's how I broke it. I started hitting delete and Rachel called me and was like, stop what you're doing. She said it very nicely, but that's what she said.
So if you did that. On the tax rate. Could you do that with FM laterals
Yes,
as well?
yes, sir. I believe that's what Commissioner Crumpton just proposed, was do both of them at voter approved.
Yes.
I don't agree with that.
That still raise it, accumulate a little more revenues.
Stuff. Cops start walking around.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Thinking what this
Oh.
is.
But having snacks?
I've if we could, can we take a quick recess and then we'll come back, let Miss Susan and Miss Rachel do their things. And we'll come back. All right, so we'll be in recess. It's ignored my.